The Ring of Madness. It began Halloween night with a visit to an old pawn shop nestled in a shadowy Arkham, Massachusetts alleyway. I had never been to that pawn shop before, but I had heard that on Halloween night they offered discounts on certain items. The air within was thick with the musty scent of antiquity, and the shelves were cluttered with curious artifacts that whispered of forgotten tales. My eyes fixated on a peculiar ring, adorned with enigmatic etchings and what appeared to be the visage of some strange kind of squid or octopus. "How much for this ring?" I asked the pawnbroker, an older gentleman, tall, thin, and pale, sharply dressed in a black business suit. "You see, normally it would be $60, but since it's Halloween, I'll offer you a special deal." "Special deal?" I inquired. "$6.66. The pawnbroker replied with a grin, revealing a singular gold tooth. "That's quite a bargain," I said as I inspected the ring. I had planned on moving to Providence in the spring and figured I could sell the ring there for at least 10 times as much. It would certainly help with the cost of moving. I needed all the money I could get, and this seemed like an offer I couldn't refuse. "Deal," I said, before I handed over the specified amount of money. As I slipped the ring onto my finger, the pawnbroker's gaze bore into mine, his eyes flickering with an unsettling awareness as a chill crept down my spine. Little did I know, in that moment of acquisition, I had become an unwitting victim of an ancient malevolence. The initial days with the ring were uneventful, its curse dormant as I navigated the routines of daily life. But as the days progressed, the ring's influence manifested in subtle ways. A flicker of movement in the corner of my eye, spectral whispers that danced on the periphery of hearing. Before long, sleep became a realm haunted by nightmares, each more vivid and unsettling than the last. Horrifying abominations would pursue me through dark and barren wastelands, ensnaring me in their tentacles as their horrible mouths lined with thousands of needle-like teeth opened up to devour me head first. I would wake up screaming, my forehead and palms drenched with sweat. One night I tried to remove the ring, but it would not come off my finger. Dread crept through my veins as I attempted to free myself from the ring's insidious grasp. The once charming trinket now felt like a shackle, its grip unyielding as I tried every conceivable method to free myself. Soapy water, oil, and even the brute force of pliers proved futile against its malevolent tenacity. As a last-ditch attempt, I went to a jeweler who attempted to cut the ring with a high-speed steel ring cutter. It was no use. The teeth on the small circular saw tool were worn down to dull little nubs, and the wretched ring was left completely unscathed. The jeweler was dumbfounded, as was I. The ring seemed to mock my futile attempts, clinging to my flesh with an unnatural tenacity that defied reason. Day after day, night after night, as the boundary between wakefulness and nightmare blurred, I sought solace in the counsel of experts, scholars, occultists, and mystics. Most of their responses ranged from stoic skepticism to cryptic warnings. However, there was one old and wizened occultist who claimed that he had heard of this ring before. He called it the Ring of Madness. He said that the ring's history went back thousands of years, that it was forged of a metal not found on Earth, and that it held a terrible curse, but he had no solution to sever the Eldritch bond that ensnared me. In the dead of night, I found myself pacing the confines of my sanity, haunted by whispers that echoed through the chambers of my mind. In the suffocating grip of the curse, the ring's etchings seemed to writhe with a malevolent sentience. It had become clear to me that the ring was a conduit for eldritch forces that reveled in my descent into madness. As the torment escalated, reason teetered on the precipice of oblivion. My desperation birthed a macabre resolve. I decided there was only one way to sever the accursed bond that chained me to that abyss of insanity. I was determined to dispose of the ring once and for all, so that never again would anyone fall victim to its terrible curse. In the middle of the night, I drove down to the shore. I stepped out of my car with a pair of garden shears clutched in my trembling hands. I walked down the beach and stood at the water's edge. The ring, a malevolent anchor to a reality warped by eldritch forces, gleamed in the pale light of the full moon, as I slowly began to close the shears around my finger. The decision, born of desperation and a fraying sanity, hung in the air as I stood there for what felt like an eternity. Finally, a surge of adrenaline flowed through me, and with grim determination, I forced the handles of the garden shears together, the blades slicing through my flesh just above the accursed ring. I felt a slight resistance as the blades chopped through the bone. I let out a scream of agony that echoed through the desolate expanse as the severed finger, still adorned with the ring, fell to the ground. With blood spurting from where my finger once was, I picked up the bloody finger and with all my strength threw it as far as I could into the sea. A profound stillness settled over the shore as if the cosmos itself held its breath. A sense of relief came over me as the ring sank into the Stygian depths. The insane whispers ceased, and the madness that tormented me subsided. Despite the agonizing pain in my hand, I felt a sense of peace unlike any I've felt before. As I stared at the full moon over the black ocean, I noticed it starting to turn red. My heart sank into my stomach. My forehead and palms began to sweat profusely. Disembodied evil laughter assaulted my mind as I backed away from the water's edge. "No! No!" I screamed. "This can't be happening! This isn't real!" Sinister dark tentacles emerged from the water as the sky started to rain blood. I ran to my car, turned the ignition, and stepped on the gas. I didn't know where I intended to go. I just wanted to get as far away as possible from that horrible creature that was emerging from the sea. As I frantically sped through the night, I heard an eerily familiar voice to my right say, "So the cycle has been completed once again." I looked over and saw that it was that wicked pawnbroker sitting there in my passenger seat. "Damn you! Damn you to hell!" I shouted. I grabbed my bloody garden shears and stabbed them through his chest, but he simply disappeared into a cloud of black smoke. At that moment, I lost control of the wheel and went careening off the road. I woke in a hospital bed. When the doctors asked me what happened, I told them everything. As I write this memoir from within the confines of a padded cell in the Arkham Sanitarium, malevolent shadows shifting upon the walls and clawing at my shattered mind, I dread that the accursed ring that catalyzed my descent into madness may have somehow been retrieved from the depths to which I had banished it. I urge anyone who may read this to heed my dire warning. Beware of what ancient relics you may find in the pawnshops of dark alleyways, and beware of the Ring of Madness.